In one of the best, most well-written op-eds I've ever read for The Guardian, Jill Stein called on President Obama to pardon Edward Snowden. And not only that, she said that as president, she would pardon Edward Snowden and actually give him a position in her administration. So she states, on June 6th of 2013, The Guardian broke the news National Security Agency had ordered Verizon to provide it with the phone records of its customers. As the story developed, it became clear that the two other major telephone networks, as well as credit card companies, were doing the same thing, and that the NSA and FBI were being provided with access to server systems operated by Google, Apple, Facebook, Yahoo, Microsoft, and Skype. On June 11th, The Guardian reported the source as Edward Snowden, a 29-year-old who had been working at the NSA for 4 years. Snowden believed it was important for him to publicly acknowledge his role in order to provide a human face to the story. He knew he was putting his life at risk and exposing himself to decades of incarceration. More revelations followed that exposed a massive national security complex that spies on virtually everyone, everywhere. Snowden's whistleblowing was among the most important in U.S. history. It showed us that the relationship between the people of the United States and the government has gone off track and needs a major course correction. The Fourth Amendment of the Constitution provides that a court must find probable cause that an individual has committed a crime before issuing a warrant and forbids systematic spying on the American people. Now, I want to stop right there because now, since she provided us with the context to the Snowden leaks, I think it's important to talk about the political backlash that Snowden received. So even though President Obama, when he was a candidate, said that he would protect whistleblowers, well, he wants to prosecute Edward Snowden. Hillary Clinton, who we all know now, sent and received classified information on an unsecured server, well, she would prosecute Edward Snowden for doing exactly what she did, except her intent was apparently not there, even though we know she was trying to hide her personal email. And Edward Snowden's intent was pure. He was trying to make sure that Americans knew that our civil liberties were being violated by the American government. And also, we have Donald Trump, who called Edward Snowden a traitor and implied that he should be killed. Not kidding. And we have an ex-CIA director, James Woolsey, who said that Edward Snowden should be hung. So we have people literally calling for his death because he was brave enough to expose gross violations of the American Constitution. And this is really frustrating because I think that people should really pay him more respect, because if I were in his shoes, I don't know that I would be courageous enough to do what he did. I don't think many people would, to be fair. So I think that we have to actually respect someone who was brave enough to do this, but instead, politicians, people in the U.S. government, they've shit all over him. Both mainstream political candidates for president, they both think that he should be in jail right now. It's completely ridiculous. So rather than blaming themselves for violating the U.S. Constitution, they're trying to prosecute the individual brave enough to expose them. So, it's just so frustrating. Now, Jill Stein is the only presidential candidate that has handled this in a way that's satisfactory, in my opinion. She states, if elected president, I will immediately pardon Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, and John Karaku for their important work in exposing the massive, systematic violation of our constitutional rights. I would invite them to the White House to publicly acknowledge their heroism and create a role for them in the Stein-Baraka Green Party administration to help us create a modern framework that protects personal privacy while still conducting effective investigations where warranted. I don't know what else to say about that. I think that's perfect. Jill Stein is the one presidential candidate. I don't know what Gary Johnson's stance is on this, but she's the one presidential candidate who's actually standing up for what's right. Everyone else, President Obama, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, they're all political cowards. But Jill Stein is taking not just a constitutional stance, but a moral stance, saying we shouldn't be persecuting and potentially prosecuting people like Edward Snowden. We should be touting them as the heroes that they are. And I'm not saying that you can't spy on citizens. If you want to do that, go get a warrant. That's what we have the Fourth Amendment for. And all these politicians on the left and the right, they always tout how, the founders want this, the founders want that. Well, if you are going to listen to the founders, maybe listen to one of the first 10 amendments The fourth one saying that you can't have warrantless searches on American citizens, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that they would even talk badly about someone who was brave enough to expose this is absolutely just infuriating to me. It's bullshit. They're cowards. They would never have the spine. Obama and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, they don't have the spines to stand up to their own donors. So you honestly think they would stand up to the federal government, the most powerful country in the world, and expose their secrets that, they're violating our constitutional rights and our civil liberties? Hell no. They don't have the spine to do it. Obama is a coward. Hillary Clinton is a coward. This ex-CIA director, James Woolsey, who said that Snowden should be hung, is a coward. Donald Trump is a coward. These are all cowards. Edward Snowden is a hero, and he should be welcomed home, and I love the idea of giving him a spot in her administration. This guy made really the ultimate sacrifice. I mean, he gave up his freedom just to show Americans what their government is really doing behind the scenes. And this is just one of potentially many violations of the Constitution that are going on. So Edward Snowden is a hero. That's the bottom line. Anyone who says otherwise is a coward.